Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to an inspired live stream. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free, my friends. You know how it goes. This has been the mantra for a very long time. And every day now, I'm telling you, every day now, I see this mantra being more and more realized, manifested in the reality around us because that's what it really does if we live it. And one of the things that we've been noticing is, and not just because of today's special guest, and he's going to share all about it, but what we've been noticing is that um, there used to be a huge disconnect between the political class and any kind of revolutionary movement, if it's the freedom sovereignty movement, whatever you want to call it. Um, they were at best ignoring the movement and maybe just taking enough note to know how to combat it. But that has, it's beginning to shift. It's actually a positive trend that we notice that a certain spectrum of the political class is actually beginning to listen, paying attention, and even being interested. And what we also notice is that often they know a little less about these things than we thought they would. But that's okay because, once somebody's open, then you can have these conversations and you can actually help create some shifts and change around these subjects. So, without further ado, I want to bring on today's guest, whom many of you know and some of you might not know yet. He is the founder of a movement, a company that is literally changing how freedom is being implemented in the physical realm, how sovereignty is being implemented. His vision is to help people get fully self reliant and to show that this can be done on a mass scale in a healthy way, in a natural way. Please welcome with me Mr. Jim Gale from Food Forest Abundance.
Well, thank you, John. It's such a pleasure, as always, to be here with you. And I just love your show. I was just listening to your talk with Frank Jacobs, and it really resonated. There's so many things in there that just made sense based on everything that I'm observing in the world, not only out there, but also in here, right? And that's where everything's really happening. It's really happening in here, right? In our hearts, in our minds, in our auras, in our beings. And I've been obsessed with this question: how do we make a difference? And variations of that question for now, really 30, 40 years, but especially in the last 16, 17 years since I learned what's going on in the world. And constantly asking, how do we make a difference as individuals that then expands out through our family, our community, and our world? And with a master's in neurolinguistics, I've taken a fourth position, it's called. First position is being in my body looking out, right? And that's a challenge for a lot of people. People want to have an out of body experience. They should first start with an in the body experience. The second position is imagining that I'm at the other chair looking back. Third is looking at the conversation from very close by. And fourth position is looking at the world. And I've been asking that question: how do we change the world? How do we create peace on earth obsessively? And I see it very, very clearly. It's happening.
Jim, what you did, I think, and I've said this before, is I think you took some of the best elements of the of American capitalism, right? I mean, some of the most uh, beautifully developed things, and you left out the toxic stuff and the bad stuff, and you created a model that can be implemented from everybody, like everybody that's living on their little piece of land, or even if they don't have it yet, to big organizations, to churches, to prisons, to orphanages. What you've taken is you've studied nature and you said, okay, there is a way that nature functions,
Yeah.
and that that actually doesn't require a whole lot of work on our part. And then this big way is called permaculture, right? And so then you took this model that entails more than just growing food, by the way, but you took this model and you're making it available to quote unquote the masses in every way, shape, or form possible, in a way that is easy even for people who have no knowledge about gardening, no knowledge about growing food. and you're doing it all without pesticides. You're doing it all without toxins. You call it humbly the solution to the world's greatest problems, and you're starting to reach people that are in leadership positions. Tell us a little bit more about what your solutions are, and how you're starting to gain momentum with them in a strong way.
Awesome. Well, I'm simply pointing to the solution. That's my role in this character in this time right now, is to I recognized the solution many years ago. The solution, like you said, is permaculture, which stands for permanent culture. It's an agricultural design science that takes out all of the poisons and mimics natural systems, or they could also be called God's design or God's systems, right? And it could also simply be called using our resources wisely.
Yeah.
From every perspective other than evil, which is the opposite of live, which is death, from every other perspective, this makes complete sense, is to see what works in a natural system and then to design our landscapes to be incredibly, in fact, exponentially productive. A food forest is a free energy system. People say that there's no such thing as free energy. There's free energy everywhere all the time. We are bathed in free energy. It's a matter of just connecting to it again. So in the permaculture process, we design whatever space we have, whether that's the corner of your closet with an LED light and giving it a little love with some water and some nutrients. You could turn dirt into sweet potatoes this way. Like, how miraculous is that? So that's what we're doing. Well, one of my favorite quotes, which many people have heard many times, but it's so profound that I like to say it again. Bill Mollison said this. He's the founder of permaculture. He said, though the problems of our world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple. And I will make one tweak to that beautiful sentiment: joyfully and lovingly simple. The solutions to all the world's problems are lovingly simple.
I think that's a beautiful tweak, Jim. Before we go into how it exactly works, and the model that you've created and how people can learn more about it, which I think is important, is you've been literally beating the drum and traveling the nation and beyond now for years, and very recently you broke through kind of a ceiling that is usually hard to break through, and you sat down with one of the current major presidential candidates
Yeah.
in this nation, which is, I think, in and of itself, a great sign that they're starting to listen. Can you tell us a little bit, without disclosing who it is because it wasn't official yet, but can you tell us a little bit about that meeting, your perceptions, and also in general, do you think that some of these people are starting to listen?
I do. And it's because it is in their best interest. And I think that that is starting to become abundantly clear. And I don't have any secrets. I'm 100% transparent with this type of stuff, right? Because it's the way forward. That when we shine a light on how we are reusing the surplus, the energy that comes in, we're catching and storing it, and then sending it back out to the best of our ability with love and service. So I'm just going to lay it all out. And if you don't mind, I will disclose who I met with.
That's up to you. You were part of that meeting. I
Yes.
wasn't. So go ahead.
All right. So I reached out to Bobby Kennedy's campaign for a lot of reasons. One reason is, since I was a little kid, my mom was telling me about the Kennedy conspiracy and about how he was shot and how it involved the mob and the government and all this stuff. She read all the books about it. So since she was like 16 years old, she had been in this. So it was already in my sphere of consciousness significantly. And then I remember a bunch of Kennedy quotes. One of his quotes, and it's a longer one, but he said, there is a ruthless and monolithic conspiracy that has conscripted vast wealth and all areas of society, human resources. Basically, they run the military industrial
And
complex.
he said it while he was president. That's probably important. While he was,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, I get the chills. In fact, when I went and looked up this speech about 2 years ago, it was scrubbed from the internet, the Google type of internet. It was amazing. So anyway, you can still find it on DuckDuckGo or whatever. Look up Kennedy conspiracy speech. And then this other quote, it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. That sits in this idea of serving is actually really selfish when you get it, because the more we serve, the more we are served, right? So I started putting all these pieces together, and I reached out to the Kennedy campaign. And I am, by the way, I'm very aware of all of the talk of controlled opposition, and I'm very aware of some of the things that Bobby has done that I don't agree with. But here's the thing that I feel very, very happy to share. Bobby Kennedy and Donald Trump and DeSantis and all of these people, they're people. He's a man. His shit stinks. He gets cold, right? And how do I know that? Well, we were in a room that was it was ridiculously cold in this room. It had to be in the 50s. And he was shaking. He's like, it's cold in here. I'm like, Jesus, why is it so cold in here? So we were laughing a little bit about that. And I looked him in the eye and I said, Bobby, actually, I said, sir, which is interesting to me because I don't hold anybody above what I'm going to share. No human being is above this. This is God. This is nature. This is the ultimate source of everything. So, but interestingly, I was called to say, sir. And I said, sir, what I'm going to share with you next is the campaign strategy that will not only win you the presidency, but the campaign itself will change the world and create peace on earth. And he looked at me with these big eyes and he's like, oh my gosh. And then somebody called him away for a couple signings. And then he went and sat down on a couch and I laid out the visuals that we had created 6 months ago. This came to me in a series of ideas through meditation. And I had to create these visuals. Like, it was so powerful, this vision that came to me. So I created this campaign strategy set of visuals and I laid them down in front of him. And the first one with his picture on it said, I will take all the poisons out of the school lunches and school land, and the children will learn how to grow their own food. And he got so excited because he knows about the poisons. He's written about the poisons for a long time. He gets it to a significant degree, more than just about anybody in the world when it comes to the details. The next picture was a picture of Donald Trump in a prison. And Donald Trump's making the claim, I will reduce crime by more than 50% in the next 4 years, which of course would blow people's minds. Well, Bobby looked at.
I think it was a ballsy move to put Trump on the next page. I love that, man. That's a ballsy move. That's cool.
And here's what's so fun about it. He said, "That's not me," and I said, "I know, but it could be." So, and he smiled and he sat back, and I felt connected with this man. I felt close to him. Now, I'm also aware that these politicians, they have an art of creating rapport, but there was something deeper in his expression. As I said, I'm aware of neurolinguistics. And when I said some things to him, you could see the light bulb go on, where he was already so far down the path, it was just a little tweak. And then he was like, wow, he said, I'm in. And by the way, I just want to finish that one thing about reducing crime. When a candidate makes a big claim, then the first thing the media is going to do on the other side is they're going to fight the claim. On their side, they're going to try to support the claim. Well, the claim about the schools turning into permaculture nurseries will, and it has been done before, it will increase the vitality and the life and the health of the kids. Same thing with the prisons. When we have permaculture and gardening classes where the inmates are learning how to grow their own food and create life, then the recidivism rates in studies done using these techniques have went down by more than 60%.
That is incredible. And, the thing is, what you're suggesting is so simple that I think for a lot of people, it sounds too simple. But what you're also showing with this pamphlet that you put in front of him is actually, I'm going to sit down with Trump as well. I'm going to sit down with DeSantis as well because he is the governor of the state you're in. Um, because you're not about partisanship at all. Or, and that's, I think, what is so important to understand is, and why people say, well, why would you take meetings with these people? I say, well, you gotta take the meeting if you can get the meeting, because you could be that one person, you could be that one thing that put the thumb on the scale and change the trajectory of their thinking and help change it. And probably you did with Bobby Kennedy. I'm pretty sure you did.
I'm pretty sure I did. He is coming to Gulf's Landing at some point in the future. He said he was, and his team has already been communicating with us about when that might be. And this is next level. When he stands in the food forest that 19 months ago was a bed of sand, and he sees the butterflies and the life, and he tastes and smells, and it's a sensory explosion of joy and life and beauty. When he experiences this, it will change him. It always does. We have not had one person ever leave here and say this sucks.
No, as
It's
a matter of fact, I know, Jim, somebody very close to us who is running some big projects currently was there, and the same effect, right? I mean, he was just there's something about seeing it, feeling it, tasting it, touching it that makes it so real. All of a sudden, you go, "Wow, this actually does work." And God's Landing, that's basically the headquarters. It's also your home. Um, but it's something that people called impossible because you built this in what, about 2 years now on Florida sand.
Yep.
Tell us a little more about where the vision started.
Well, the vision started about 16, 17 years ago. It was 2007 when I watched Zeitgeist and I learned permaculture and I had my first two daughters. The daughters were what actually brought me into scarcity because I became fearful of their future. I became concerned that the world was going to go to hell and they would suffer. And that was more important than me suffering. So that's when I went into a scarcity. I had done $1.3 billion in the mortgage industry. I'd made $20 million. I literally spent every penny.
Oh, friends, I think we lost Jim here for a moment. It's actually a fascinating story for those who are just moving into the live stream or who haven't heard of Jim Gale before. We're talking to Jim Gale, Food Forest Abundance, one of the probably, in terms of food sovereignty and helping everybody understand really how that could work, where we'd not just, well, everything seems to get out of whack a little bit here. Um, where we starting to understand what sovereignty means, what freedom means, and how we could actually work on a big scale. Um, I think Jim is moving back in. Hold on, let me do this here. Hey, Jim, are you back?
I am back. That was our good friend, Brigadier General Blaine Holt, that popped in. And anyways, apologize for that.
No worries at all. It's a small world. Yeah, General Hold. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I love Blano. Well, Jim,
Yeah.
you were just talking about the beginnings and also how Galt's Landing started and the whole vision.
Yeah. So it started out of scarcity, right? Which scarcity leads to destruction. It leads to the contraction of life and ideas and wisdom. So I basically invested all my money in the solutions from that place of fear. And then about 3 years ago, I was done. I was broke. I had spent all my money and then another $80,000 on credit to open up my last business. And then the government used COVID as an excuse to shut it down, right? So then I knew I was bawling. I was walking down the road and I was in stress and fear. And all of a sudden I recognized that there was one thing I hadn't tried. I hadn't tried faith and courage to the max. And faith and courage is a physical beingness. It's a frequency. It's a feeling that is real. And I stepped into that. I let go of all fear. And ever since that day, and everything got bright and illuminated around me, even though it was a walk in the dark. And ever since then, the synchronicities, the cooperative incidences, the miracles, the divine interventions, they are happening now at a pace that's actually accelerating.
Well, especially in the last, I think, and since the beginning of 2023, we've all seen it because, and we're all connected, so we communicate all the time, and we, help each other too and support each other. Um, and Galt's Landing, as I said, is the headquarters in Florida, which is basically it's everything. It's your home. It's the food forest model. It's the self-reliance model. There are tiny homes on there. People can actually stay there. They can take tours. They can learn about permaculture. Tell us a little bit more about it, and how did you do it on Florida sand, my friend? Because that's what a lot of people say. Well, Florida is nice, but there's so much sand, it's hard to grow food.
Yeah. Well, we followed the process and the principles and ethics of permaculture, right? The ethics are so important too. They're the foundation. The ethics are earth care, people care, and reinvesting the surplus wisely, right? And instead of reinvesting in BlackRock, which is where most people's 401ks are at right now, the entity that is sucking the life out. So if anybody's listening, take your fiat out of that and put it into something that will actually grow. But anyway, so we followed the principles. We designed our land using the permaculture design techniques. And now, thanks to just the system and the process, and then letting nature do her work, we now have so much food. And I want to share with everybody that what we know about farming is all BS. It's a lie. None of it is true. If it's farming that we learned in colleges and universities in the last several generations, the truth is we are able to walk outside and there's literally food everywhere and it's no maintenance. The fruit trees and berry bushes and sweet potatoes and all these different longevities, all these different food products. And we have 230 different varieties of food growing here. They take virtually zero maintenance to thrive.
That is so amazing, Jim. And one of the things that I would like to point out, especially to our new viewers, is whether somebody is a business owner, whether somebody is a homeowner and has a backyard, a small backyard, whether somebody has a large piece of land, maybe they have a church, maybe they have an organization, an orphanage, a store, whatever. If you have a little piece of land, a little lawn space or a big lawn space, and you're currently hiring landscapers that come in every week and that cut the grass, and then you're hiring people to put artificial fertilizers on there, and they put bug spray on there, and they put the GMO crops on there, the GMO grass seeds. Jim, what could these people do today? How could they get in touch with your organization, learn more about it, and actually start thriving as very, very soon? Run us through it.
Okay, so the process starts with saying, I want to be free. I want to be the change. I want to be self-reliant, because the opposite of that is slavery, is dependence, right? So once you say, I want to be independent, then you can go through the process of, you can go online. And this is what I did for 10 years. I went on YouTube and I just looked up permaculture. I probably spent, I don't know, thousands of hours studying permaculture online. Or if you want to speed up time, then get a hold of us or a permaculture person near you. You can do so at foodforestabundance.com.
We
And we
put
have
the link in the video description, Jim. They can
Thank you,
go there
brother.
right in the video description. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. And then we have a system called a strategy session, and it's free. So somebody could call up and talk to one of our professional permaculture designers and get a strategy session done. It's a 30-minute consult worth quite a bit of value. And then if you decide to go your own way and do it yourself, great, because our mission is way bigger than business. This is way higher up than the equity system of our world. This is how we change the world. And this is how we create the path to freedom, is by becoming self-reliant as individuals and then caring for our families, and then it expands from there. So yeah, that's the best way to go, is foodforestabundance.com.
Jim, there are people that have beautiful properties, and they just, they're used to hiring a landscape designer, for example, or using a landscape design with ornamental plants, and they say, well, I just don't want it to be messy and all over the place. But That's actually not true. Your team is creating beautiful designs, right?
Oh, I have never had a person out of almost 1,000 people that have visited here. Not one person has ever said my lawn looks better. And here's the thing. Okay, so look at a normal landscape design. There's ornamental plants all over the place. The difference, if you want something that looks almost exactly the same as an award-winning lawn, then you simply replace the ornamentals with food-producing plants, which are also ornamental and they produce food.
And I think, Jim, if I may draw a comparison here, because for some people the numbers do kind of matter also, but in this day and age, to me, investing in a food forest today, it's kind of like buying Amazon shares in the 90s, you know, and it's far more valuable than Amazon shares. But I mean, the it's just a gift that keeps on giving naturally. There are influences, of course. I mean, you could have we don't know what will happen, but it's by far the best investment. And even if they don't do it with food forest abundance, they should just do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can count the seeds in a papaya, but you cannot count the papayas in a single seed. It's exponential. It's infinite, right? So look at how beautiful this is. And then as you get over into the main pathway, 1 acre of land done the way we've done it can feed many, many families all of the food that they need to thrive. And not only that, but every plant becomes a nursery for future plants. So this system here is the ultimate stack of functions. It creates joy, it creates life, and it's infinitely propagatable so all of our neighbors can also have food.
Which I think is wonderful. And this is another point that I wanted to bring up with you, Jim. There are people who say, hey, I enjoy this. I want to have my own food forest. I want to live in a self-reliant way, but I also want to generate income, right? That allows me to do other things. How could that work with a food forest, even if it's not on a huge scale, but how could it work with a
Yeah.
food forest?
It's the best business investment that I've ever made. My partner Marcel and I, we put about $150,000 into this 1 acre food production system. And now we give tours regularly. We've propagated hundreds of plants, each worth 20 bucks, you know, or more from the system just in 18 months or 19 months. And that's what, I mean, can you see that? 19 months ago, there was nothing here but sand.
And
And it's, yeah.
no. And then I wanted to say, and Jim, and when you're looking at the cities today, I mean, our farmers market here in Middle Tennessee, we're in a broader national area. It is, I mean, just every single time the market is completely full, people are looking for high quality, real high quality food. So that is also a potential source of income that you can sell on your farmers market, your surplus, in addition to the seeds and the growlings. So again, this is for anybody, right? I mean, anybody can do this.
Anybody can do it. And then one of the biggest kind of income streams as a business, we've got a crew here that uses this as a demonstration site. We're in the process of 8 different food forest installations around Central Florida and, well, actually all around the world, but just our crew from Galt's Landing is completely booked doing multiple food forest installations at a time.
This is wonderful. And I can't wait, Jim, for our next conversation where we're going to actually share about one of the biggest projects, or the biggest project that Food Forest, I think, to date will do. I'm so excited about this one. It's going to have the whole spiel, everything from private, the backyards, to a commercial farm that will feed restaurants, to everything. I just can't wait to share all of this with our
Oh,
viewers. But for right now, if somebody is inspired, a business owner, a homeowner, maybe a future homeowner, they say, hey, I want to use, rather than pesticides and bullshit, I want to grow my own food. Please click in the link in the description. It's a completely free, no credit card, no nothing bullshit. It's completely free consultation, 30 minutes. And somebody will take great care of you at the Food Forest Abundance team. And then you can take it from there and see what works for you. Jim, what's your vision moving forward? You sat down with Bobby Kennedy. There's a reason why you did that. You have a vision to bring this to the large world stage and show people that it can be done. What's your vision for the next 12 months?
We're going to reach the tipping point. We are in the ascension, the apocalypse, the great awakening of human consciousness. And it's probably already been reached. We're probably just following along now with the guidance from source, from God, from the divine. And what I know, what I see and feel so deeply is we are going to achieve, in general terms, peace on earth. And people look at me and they sometimes they laugh or they sneer or they say you're crazy, you're naive, you're stupid, that's impossible, blah, blah. Some people yell at me because they're very religious and they get offended when some people actually get offended when I say that my goal is we achieve peace on earth. And I'm like, that's funny. But so how we're gonna do that is very simple. We're going to, with the help of the influencers, and we're all influencers, right? If there's only one person we can influence and that's ourself, then we've done pretty darn good, better than most, right? But now we're going to come together with the biggest influencers in the world, and we are going to call out the corporations that are selling poisons. All of the infrastructure is already there to change it like that. Right? We've got the school system. Every school will become a nursery. Every prison will become a nursery. And Walmart and Home Depot, instead of selling Roundup, which they've already paid $11 billion in fines on, then they'll start selling compost tea and they'll start selling life instead of death. When the influencers model after what Kid Rock did to Bud Light by blasting that thing and many other people, then when the influencers come together on this one message, this will be the domino that literally leads to abundance everywhere, which then leads to peace on earth.
I love it, Jim. One more question. I'm watching the live chat comments here, and there's a person in here, Robin. I think she says, not everyone can do this. Not everyone has $150,000 to start up. Jim, on your average American backyard, do you need $150,000 to start a food forest?
So let's go even deeper than that. Robin, thank you very much for making that comment. If you need food today or this weekend and you've got $20 and you're tight on money, you take that $20 and you go to the farmer's market. You go somewhere where there's not GMO'd foods or food where the seeds have been taken out of them, right? Through a series of the wrong kind of cross-pollination. So you go with your $20 and you buy fruits and veggies that you like. You consume the fruits and veggies and you take the seeds out of those fruits and veggies. You then go into your backyard or get a planter box. You can go into a dump, you can get a bucket somewhere. You can fill it with dirt at the local park and you can put those seeds in that. Maybe add some worms, find some worms. So in other words, it's not the money that matters. It's the commitment that matters. If you're committed, you can literally create your own food forest with no cash.
Thank you so much, Jim. And what I love about your food consultations, because a lot of our viewers have given us feedback on that, is you're willing to share that. You're willing to share those things and say, hey, if this is your current situation, this is what you can do. This is what you can do to improve it today. So we want to just let people know, if you feel inspired, if you feel a nudge and you say, yes, I want to learn more. I want to get a deeper understanding. I want to get started. Or you say, hey, you know what? I got 5 acres of pesticide infested lawn space and I'm ready to put in a food forest and show my community what can be done and feed my family great food and be part of the solution. Then please click on the link in the video description, get in touch with Jim's team, and take it from there, friends. Jim, thank you so much for taking the time today. Once again, Jim Gale from Food Forest Abundance. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Ciao.
And Inspire Tribe, thank you for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.